Hello and welcome to MXM Live. It's that time of the year when the country gets set for Big Boss, the mega reality show on Colors. And we've just heard that despite the pandemic and despite the vagaries of the business, Big Boss this year has got 3 sponsors and including a presenting sponsor. We have here with us Mr. Mahesh Shetty, head of sales of the Viacom18 network, to speak with us and talk to us about the way Big Boss is doing, the sponsorship that he has just netted for the show, as well as the ad spend climate for GCs and for Colors specifically. Welcome to MXM Live, Mahesh.
Thank you, Pradyuman. Happy to be here, chat with you.
You must be fairly relieved that you have now a presenting sponsor and things are getting locked up on the sales front for Big Boss.
I won't say relieved because we were very confident that we would get brands on board. But yes, when a partner who was signed on already kind of steps back a little late in the day, which is Vivo. Yes, there was a little pressure on getting a replacement, but thanks to nature and the popularity that Big Boss has, not only amongst viewers but also amongst advertisers, we could find a quick replacement. So yes, it is a happy state to be in that we have.
And what were those moments like when you had Vivo backing out? How was that? How were those moments? Because Big Boss is, of course, a premium property that you have, but also your primary premium property, right? So in that sense, a lot rests on it.
It is our biggest property, and we had Vivo on board, but well, they had their own problems, and I cannot belabor the point that I wish they were around or something, because they had their own problems and they stepped back from IPL also. And so what I'm happy about is that we were able to find a quick replacement. So I'm not really getting on to the moments that we had when Vivo decided to step back.
Tell me, how have the last 6 months been for you all? These have been tough times for the entire media. Yeah. And how's it been for you?
So I'll tell you, Pradyuman, I think when we started off the 6 months, and I would say it's a journey, and it's been quite a crazy journey, ups, downs, downs and ups in that order, I would say. When we started off in April, we had no clue what was going to happen. And I'm sure all of us had no clue what was going to happen. And from a business standpoint, because the entire country was on lockdown, brands were not spending money, their supply chains, their production all had gone for a toss. So brands were not spending money, and we were not sure how things will pan out. But thankfully, as towards the end of May, when the lockdown kind of opened up, the market started opening up, factories, supply chains fell in place. Most of the advertisers came back, and June, not only for us but for most broadcast guys, we had our volumes back, and starting July we started getting a pricing back. Even for us at Viacom18, I'm very happy to say that in September pricing is back to pre-COVID levels. All the discounting that we were giving is off. We're back to pre-COVID levels. Even our volumes are now trending to pre-COVID levels. So that is a happy place to be. I think overall market is, when you look at the overall ad market, is not in the same line. Many other mediums are far behind in terms of their last year numbers. And for us to be doing the volume which is pre-COVID and getting the pricing close to pre-COVID in September, I think it's a huge thing for us. So yes, from the downs of early April to now, and having 3 sponsors on board for Big Boss, I think it's a decently happy place to be.
At what stage in this entire 6 months did you think that things could be, the Achhe Din will be back? When did you feel that, when things were so down, we didn't know what the future is going to be. We still don't know what the future is, but for y'all, for a GC like Colors, it's indeed happy days.
Well, see, I have a basic belief that, till the time your consumers are there, you have a business. and which is applicable to any business. And in our case, if you look at the television audiences, they never left us. Actually, through the lockdown phase and even after that, the viewership of not only us but across board, if you see, television viewership actually has only grown. So as far as your consumers are there, okay, then you have a business. Okay, that's the first part. The second part is that your advertisers, okay, if early on in April and May, their businesses, their consumers were not there. I mean, even if the consumers wanted to go to a store, the store was not open. Okay, and as their business started coming back, the first port of call for them to go back and promote their brands was television, because we had our consumers, readily there. And so I was very confident that it is just a matter of time. But April and May were very tough. Okay. June, when we got our volumes back, is when we got the confidence that now things will fall in place. And so we offered, to many of our advertising partners, discounting in the first quarter. And as volumes grew, then I had the confidence that business will slowly come back to normal, and that's what happened.
So I'm going to ask you this question. I know it's a tricky question to ask you, but you mentioned about the fact that things are back to pre-COVID levels in terms of even in value terms. So are you making more on Big Boss this year than you made last year?
It's too early to say that, because we are 30 days away from our start of Big Boss. Having said that, but in terms of sponsor traction, I think the sponsor traction is very good. Whether we'll make more or the same as last year is something that I'll be able to tell you towards the end of the season. But as 30 days prior, if you ask me, I think we'll be able to do at least our last year's numbers. And what gives me this confidence is the kind of traction we are getting from brands. Had it been any normal year, had it been a normal year, no COVID and all, we would have hiked our pricing by 25-30% at least, because last year was a blockbuster year for us. And
absolutely, yeah.
In impact properties, what happens is that what you take to the market and to the advertisers is what your past year has been like. And in normal course, we would have really hiked up our pricing, both with our existing sponsors and the new ones. But given the state at which the economy is, and the fact is that we are still, the pandemic, the impact of pandemic is still there, we've kept our pricing broadly similar to last year. So I'm very confident we'll do at least last year's numbers.
One of the factors this year, which doesn't impact Big Boss every year, is that it's also the time when IPL is going to be on air, for at least a certain part of the Big Boss is airing. Is that going to impact in any possible way? I know IPL starts at 7:30 instead of 8 o'clock this year, but has that any impact?
So again, two parts. One is the viewership. Like I said, all businesses, at the end of the day, brands pay us for the viewership that we deliver. And I think from a viewership standpoint, the overlap is minimal. And why I say so is that we are starting off on 3rd of October. We go on for 106 days. IPL starts on 19th of September and goes on till 8th of November. So the overlap is about 37 days. Okay. And in those 37 days, again, like you mentioned, IPL starts at 7:30, gets over at 10:30. We start at 10:30. So from a viewership standpoint, will a consumer not watch Big Boss because he's watching IPL? I think that won't happen, because there is not too much of an overlap from a timing point of view. The overlap happens only on weekend, which is Saturday and Sunday. Big Boss starts at around 9 o'clock, and IPL matches would be on around that time. So that is 4 weekends. That's 8 days. 8 days in a 106-day property, I think, is very minimal. So from a viewership standpoint, I think I don't see too much of a stress from that point of view. From a monetization standpoint, yes, what happens is that there is a finite set of advertisers that you have, really. And the fact is that when a big property like IPL comes, there is some money that goes to that property also, and a lot of money actually goes to that property. But the ticket size of IPL is very large. And at this point of time in, the way we are coming out of the pandemic, how many brands would be able to afford that is a question. So from that point of view, Big Boss also becomes a very viable option. And thirdly,
my average as a friend tell me that even Big Boss is a ticket sizes are fairly high.
Well, it depends on what you look at. No, versus the IPL, we are far reasonably priced. Okay, and the other thing is that from a timing standpoint, uh, 3rd of October, 6 weeks before Diwali, okay, is a bang on sweet spot really for any advertiser who wants to really cash in on the festive bit, and we cover the entire festive. There is Dasera, Diwali, Christmas, New Year's, the entire festive period is taken care of. Also, IPL is primarily male viewership, ours is male and female both. So there are many brands who don't go on the IPL platform because they are, they're wanting to talk to the other gender too. So
Uh,
there is,
yeah,
it's not that, the monies will be split. The guys who take the big ticket sponsorship on IPL will be difficult for them to come on Big Boss. My guess is that they'll put all their monies over there. But yes, I think but the festive will see a lot of action on brands, and there is enough space for both IPL and Big Boss to survive and do well.
one of the highlights of Big Boss is the integration of brands that happen. Now, in the light of the current issues about shootings and the COVID-related threats that are there, do you anticipate any hiccups on that front?
Not really, Pradyuman. All of us have learned to live with taking extra precaution. I don't think, this is the 6th month and we are running our business sitting at home. I don't think we would have ever imagined that this was also possible.
Right.
As far as brand integrations and, engagements go, I don't think there will be any problem on that because we will take enough and more precautions to ensure that all the, necessary steps are taken. The USP of Big Boss is brand integration, brand engagements, and like while IPL is primarily a large inventory buy kind of a deal, Big Boss is a mix of both inventory as well as great brand engagements and integration. So that will continue to be a very important part, and we'll take all precautions to ensure that there's no issue on that.
Unlike the previous years, while the last 2 years also, Big Boss has been there on your OTT platform Woot, but this year the play is going to be more significant. So I had two questions. One is that the presenting sponsor and the primary advertisers will they be across both platforms? And the second is, given the fact that in the pandemic, OTT has become a fairly potent force in terms of viewership, will that have any impact whatsoever on a television, the primary television viewership?
As far as sponsorship goes and brands go, both our television and OTT are sold separately. Some of the large sponsors, we give them benefit across board. But just to give you a perspective, last year we had about 9 brands on television sponsors, and we had about 8 to 9 brands on Woot also, which were different. Okay, so both are sold separately. Some of them have common deals where we kind of get them both. What was the second question, Pradyuman? Which was in terms of, is there any cannibalization? Yeah. So, see, the property like Big Boss has very loyal fan following, and they don't get enough on television. When I say there is only that 1 hour they get every day, but we make content which is far more than 1 hour, and all these fans are able to consume that when they go onto the OTT platform because there's a lot of shoulder content that gets generated and put on Woot. So if you ask me, will there be cannibalization? No, there is no cannibalization because the fan base is only growing. Okay, and these active fans also go back and engage with the content on Woot. With all the shoulder content, they take part in contests and do multiple stuff over there. The fact that there is such a strong fan following and viewership, catch-up television, as far as when you look at catch-up television, that is also kind of a big part of the viewership. And so if you missed out, so Woot helps in terms of from a catch-up standpoint. The other thing is that this year around, we would be playing it slightly before television.
So it's not just catch-up television; it's preview television.
Yeah, it is also because yes, if there is somebody who's subscribed to your service and he's paying money for that, then there is a value that we want to give to that subscriber. And we think that Big Boss is our biggest property. It is the biggest thing on Voot also. That will also migrate a lot of people who come on Voot to become paid subscribers. And just because you want to know what's happening slightly before what the world is going to see, and there will be a lot more than that. Actually, there's a lot of engagement that's also going to happen. So there's going to be a lot of value around Big Boss that Voot subscribers will also get. So yes, but having said that, if I have to compare it versus the millions of viewers on television, it's a relatively smaller set.
That's interesting that you say that, but is there some kind of a sentiment that, well, Big Boss is essentially a television property, so let television get the most of it?
From a monetization point of view, television and viewership also, television will be the bulk of it. Okay, it is because the SWOT service, the in terms of the preview, it is only for the people who have subscribed.
Right. No, I appreciate that, but it's just that one hears that the numbers for SWOT are fairly large. So so hence the question of whether there is any cannibalization. But moving on from Big Boss,
it's going to be it is right now we've not decided, because see, the content is produced every day. It's not that the content is going to come one day prior, or it's just going to be right now we've not even gone out and said how much earlier it's going to come. Okay, so but yes, there will be a slight they'll get to see it slightly before the others. And on weekends, I don't think that's going to be possible, because there'll be voting and such things, because we don't want the results to come out early.
Once again, this is a question which needs to be asked, because it's being discussed. Is that obviously a lot depends, and I'm sure a lot depends even in terms of sponsorship on the presence of a Salman Khan, right? And then there are some question marks which are being raised about whether he'll be present or not. So is that some kind of a concern, or you're not really worried about that?
Not really, Pradyuman. Salman is one of the biggest superstars of our country, and he has a huge fan following, and he's very much there in the show. He's the host of the show, okay, and he's very much there. We've already gone out with promos with Salman. Okay, he's very much part of the show. He's been an integral part of the show for many years, and in many ways, both Big Boss and Salman have been, a combination that has worked in the past. And so yes, there is enough and more news out there, but I think as we approach, as Big Boss starts, things will die down, and Salman will continue to be Salman, and his aura will continue on Big Boss.
And as it's happened, as we know that every year there is some controversy around Salman Khan, and I guess that further fuels his popularity.
Yeah. Also, Pradyuman, unlike many shows where the host is the one who carries the show all the way through, Salman is there 2 days of the week. 5 days of the week, the show is without Salman, and the housemates actually end up becoming the biggest, stars of the country. So the way, last year, Siddharth Shukla, Shehnaz, Asim Riaz, they became household names and with crazy fan following. That happened, pre Big Boss. They weren't as big as they became after Big Boss. So there are many, stars that are born out of Big Boss, and they are created all through 7 days. So yes, Salman is the biggest star on the show, but yes, there is more to Big Boss.
Absolutely, and there is much anticipation about who's going to be populating the Big Boss house. Clearly, that is there. There is some clamor for Riya Chakrabarti to be there, which was possibly your next year's edition. She might be there. But having said that, now what else? Around Big Boss, there's obviously a lot of planning going on about other other shows around it. Immediately after that, this is in a sense the beginning of the Colors season.
Yeah. So There is a huge lineup of fiction shows that some of them have already been rolled out. You may know of a new show that we just launched
That's
recently,
right.
Pinjra. Pinjra Khupika. It's opened very well, and there are a couple of other shows also lined up, which you'll get to know soon.
And there's Khatro Ke Khiladi the next season, and all of
Uh,
that will also.
yes,
Uh,
Well, depending on how Big Boss does, we may decide to extend it or not. I mean, last year, Big Boss did so well that we decided to extend it.
right.
What was initially planned as 106 episode went on to become 140 episode, and the extension was the right decision. It did very well. The last 40 odd days were the from a viewership standpoint, rating standpoint, were like really, I mean, higher than what we ever anticipated. So depending on how this season go, we'll take a call on extension or not. Otherwise, we have Dance Divane planned after Big Boss, and yes, Khatron Ke Khiladi post that. Yeah.
And how is Nagin doing for you all?
It's opened very well, and Nagin has again, like Big Boss, has a very strong fan following, and the new season has opened very well. So we are very confident as with every passing Sunday, every passing weekend, it'll only grow.
And so clearly, there's Big Boss. There is a host of other shows that are happening. Uh, uh, but in terms of the sales outlook as a whole for television, I know I asked you this question earlier, but do you see that coming back to pre-COVID levels soon enough, given the festive season? How is the festive season looking better for you all?
Yeah, I think H2 will be back to pre-COVID levels. That's my estimate. And especially general entertainment television, and I would say entertainment television is a lot dependent on FMCG. And FMCG as a category has, in terms of impact of COVID, has relatively been far lesser. And also, what my view is, Pradyuman, is that, like I said earlier, like every business, like having consumers on your side is what decides whether your business will do well or not. And viewers have been there with television, has been there with Viacom18 as a network. And but versus if I compare it to other mediums, be it print or radio or say cinema advertising or outdoors, there has been a drop in terms of their own consumers. Okay, and so while I think advertisers will cut their monies, but the cut won't be on television and digital, and that's because we have, I mean, if you have to really go out with a marketing campaign, you need strong platforms, and television now becomes even more stronger, I would say. And that's why our H2, I think I will come back to pre-COVID levels.
Radio, you would know well, given your,
Yeah,
how much time you've spent there.
more than a decade, yeah.
It's a little unfortunate for that medium, given the fact that there's no drive time now. Uh,
It's slowly coming back, but yes, though I would want my old friends of radio to comment on this. But yes, a lot of perception of radio listenership is driven by drive time, and because of the lockdown and a lot of people working from home, that is definitely impacting radio business. The other thing is that FMCG as a component of the radio advertising pie is very small. Uh, well, if I remember right, it used to be about 10-12%. Okay. So, and FMCG is the one which is driving the advertising spends. And because radio, the component is so small that it is not really driving the business there. And radio is driven a lot by retail, real estate, and all, and those businesses are having a bit of a tough time.
I'm speaking to you, and and since you look after the entire Viacom18 portfolio, I can't not ask you as to, other than colors, how the rest of the portfolio are looking for you, given COVID and now the festive season coming in.
So, Pradyuman, in June, we entered the FTA space again. Uh, with
Right, we all know that, yeah.
Rishte Cineplex with a movie offering and our GC offering. I think that's doing fabulously well. I think it was a very good move, not just from our side, but there were a couple of other our competitors also who joined. That is, those channels are doing very well because especially in these times when brands are looking for reach at value pricing, the free dish channels work out very well for them, and so those are doing very well. just like I told you, our just like our Hindi GEC business, okay, is coming back on track in terms of volume and also on pricing. The same trend exists on our regional network also. So between our the Hindi network and the regional network, that takes care of our bulk of our business, and the other kids is also back on track. Like I said, kids viewership has only grown during.
It's been an extended vacation, right, for kids.
So I was just talking to my team. Normally, what used to be a phenomenon in summer holidays, the summer holidays has extended. So, well, kids are doing schooling from home and online classes. Having said that, they're spending a lot of time on television too. So, kids channel viewership has only grown, and brands are also coming on board for that. English channels, though, our English portfolio, though, versus pre-COVID, they have also seen an increase. But from an advertiser standpoint, because the overall number of advertisers has come down, since April, while volume for all the bigger channels is back, but the long tail is still away. Okay, and that has also impacted some. So our English channels, compared to pre-COVID, we are not as we speak, we are not back to pre-COVID levels, and that'll take a little time, I guess.
Great. It was wonderful speaking with you, and all the very best for Big Boss and for Colors and for the rest of your portfolio.
Thank you, brother.
If I want to ask you one last question, just to put you into a bit of a spot, is the entire interview I haven't done any questions. If you have to put if you have to put last year's figure as 100 in terms of what you achieved in sales, any
Big Boss or
on Big Boss, any guesses, any thoughts on what it could be this year?
On a like-to-like basis, I would say it would be the same or slightly higher. On a like-to-like, why I say like-to-like, because last year was 140 episode, this year it's 106 episode. But if I equate it to 106, then yes, similar.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mahesh. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and all the very best.
Thanks so much. Thank you.